From NIHseniorhealth.gov. Built with you in mind.
The most common type of bladder problems that affect older adults are the need to urinate frequently daytime and nighttime, rushing to the bathroom, having wetting accidents or urinary incontinence, trouble urinating, dribbling after urinating, and bladder or urinary tract infections. There are two main types of wetting accidents. The first type is urgency incontinence, when you simply can't make it to the bathroom in time, and the second is stress urinary incontinence, where you might lose urine in response to a physical activity such as coughing, sneezing, bending, or lifting, and even moving from a sitting to a standing position or walking can cause leakage in some people. The signs of bladder problems can be needing to urinate frequently, trouble going to the bathroom, burning or discomfort before, during, and after urination, or seeing blood in the urine, which could be a pinkish tinge or it could be bright red. Bladder problems are pretty much the same for men and women. However, what causes the problems can be quite different. Men, for example, have a prostate gland. The prostate gland tends to get larger as men get older, and it blocks the flow of urine. And this is what causes the difficulty urinating. Women don't have a prostate gland. However, what's unique to women is the fact that in order for their anatomy to accommodate giving birth, their tissues have to stretch. And as a result of that, there can be nerve and muscle damage that can contribute to urinary incontinence and other symptoms. The incontinence may actually not happen for a number of years after childbirth. So incontinence is more common in women than it is in men.
From NIHseniorhealth.gov. Built with you in mind.
There are many things that you can do to keep your bladder healthy. First of all, just going to the bathroom to urinate on a regular basis, at least every 2 to 3 hours during the day, is important, even if you don't really feel the urge to go. In addition, make sure you take time to relax so that you can adequately empty your bladder. For women, it's really important to sit down on the toilet seat. Hovering over the toilet does not allow your pelvic floor muscles to relax completely and can maintain urine in your bladder, which can then contribute to having to go back and go to the bathroom more frequently, or potentially contribute to getting a bladder infection because the bacteria has a chance to build up in the bladder. It's also important to avoid restricting your fluids in an attempt to minimize your bladder symptoms. When you restrict your fluids, you can get dehydrated. And older people, when they get dehydrated, are particularly prone to getting lightheaded when they go from sitting to standing or from lying to standing. And once you get lightheaded, then you oftentimes have to sit back down again. In that process, you're taking much more time to get to the bathroom than if you maintained a good state of hydration so that you didn't have to worry about getting lightheaded. In addition, when your fluids are restricted, you're much more prone to constipation.
Staying hydrated and preventing dehydration is important. However, a lot of patients come to us ingesting large quantities of fluid because they're under the assumption that drinking lots of water is important and healthy. It's actually not recommended to drink large quantities of fluid. You should really just drink when you're thirsty, and drinking water instead of coffee, tea, or soda is preferred. As far as overactive bladder, there are a lot of behavior modifications that patients can make that can help prevent urgency, frequency, and getting up at night or nocturia. Those include limiting your intake of bladder irritants like coffee, tea, soda, alcohol, anything caffeinated, anything carbonated, anything very spicy or acidic. Just by making some small changes to your diet, you can make a big difference in your urinary symptoms.
A high-fiber diet is so important to maintaining good bowel function, and constipation contributes to bladder symptoms. It's really important to do everything possible through a high-fiber diet to keep your bowels moving regularly. Something else that's really important is to not smoke. Cigarette smoking has been associated with bladder cancer, and when you smoke, your lungs are irritated, and that can cause you to cough, and the coughing can contribute to urinary incontinence. Staying active prevents weight gain and helps you maintain your overall musculoskeletal strength so that you can move quickly to the bathroom when you need to.
From NIHseniorhealth.gov, built with you in mind.
Aging affects bladder health in a couple of ways. There can be a deterioration in how the nerves and the muscles signal the bladder. In addition, the bladder muscle can lose its elasticity or stretchiness so that it doesn't want to hold as much urine as it did when it was younger. Other medical conditions can significantly contribute to the health of the bladder. For example, someone that has arthritis may be limited in their activity because of the pain. Not being active leads to generalized deterioration in the muscle strength, which can make it harder to go from lying to standing or sitting to standing, and the longer it takes to change position and get to the bathroom can interfere with the ability to get to the bathroom in time. In addition, heart conditions can cause you to retain fluid in your body that has to come out, oftentimes at night when you're lying down. And it's not unusual in older people for them to make most of their total urine output at night. That certainly can make it harder to get a good night's sleep when you're making so much urine that you have to get up frequently to get rid of it.
From NIHseniorhealth.gov, built with you in mind.
A patient should seek care anytime he or she is bothered by any urinary symptoms. Those symptoms can be burning with urination, also called dysuria, problems with overactive bladder, which would be urgency, frequency, nocturia, which is getting up at night frequently to go to the bathroom, or incontinence. In older women, urinary symptoms can be very disabling. There's research to show that it's more disabling than major depression in some people. There's a lot of help out there, so we don't want women not seeking care because there's a lot we can do to help them. Patients can seek care from a primary care provider. A generalist or internist can help. Specialists like urologists or urogynecologists and their practices are helpful at addressing urinary symptoms in particular.
There's no reason to be embarrassed about talking to your healthcare professional about your bladder problem. What you may not realize is that by not letting them know, you may be making it harder for them to treat your other medical conditions, such as high blood pressure, heart problems, and even diabetes. It may be easiest to bring up your bladder problem with your healthcare professional by letting them know the impact that it's having. Specifically, if you're actually not able to take your water pill every day because of your bladder. In addition, when your healthcare professional is asking you if you're out exercising and doing your walking, let them know that you can't be far enough away from your bathroom to feel comfortable.
When preparing for an appointment to have your urinary symptoms evaluated, you will usually get a health questionnaire in advance, and to fill that out before the visit is very helpful. There'll be a lot of information to complete, and usually a voiding diary, which is a 48-hour diary where you list what you drink and how much you've been drinking and how often you're voiding, and if you're having incontinence, how many episodes of incontinence you're having on a daily basis. And to bring that to the appointment is very helpful. If a patient comes in with any urinary symptoms, the first thing that we do is go over very detailed history. The history is the story behind the problem, and we get a lot of information from that. So we'll be asking a lot of questions about the symptoms. Then we'll do a detailed examination to see if there's any anatomic reason why the urinary symptoms may be occurring. We may do simple in-clinic testing, like testing for a urinary tract infection, to rule out a simple reason for urinary symptoms.
From NIHseniorhealth.gov, built with you in mind.
An overactive bladder is defined as basically a group of symptoms where a patient can complain about urgency or frequency, nocturia, getting up at night to go to the bathroom, and urge incontinence. So the urgency is a feeling of you need to rush to the bathroom and you may not make it there in time. Frequency is considered going more than every 2 to 3 hours while you're awake. And nocturia is considered getting up more than once at night to go to the bathroom. Overactive bladder has a wide range of treatments, and we usually start with the least invasive and move to the more invasive. The first thing that we start with are behavior modifications. Behavior modifications include limiting the amount of bladder irritants that you ingest, making sure you're emptying your bladder on a schedule, which is every 2 to 3 hours while you're awake, and limiting fluids before you go to bed, at least 3 hours before you go to sleep, to help prevent you from having to get up at night.
There's a very specific type of exercises for the pelvic floor muscles, oftentimes called Kegel exercises. And Kegel exercises are good for both men and women. Kegels are strengthening the pelvic floor muscles. Those are the muscles that surround the urethra, and when you squeeze them, it helps you keep the urine in your bladder. So they can be really important for helping you to maintain your urinary control or to regain it through a real exercise program.
There are many medications out on the market to help with overactive bladder, and they're very effective as well. Some of them have side effects that can be difficult to tolerate. Acupuncture therapy is also a treatment option for overactive bladder. Percutaneous tibial nerve stimulation is a treatment that we offer that helps with overactive bladder. It involves acupuncture needle that is placed near the ankle and stimulates the tibial nerve. It is effective in 60 to 80% of patients and is covered by Medicare, and is a great treatment option for patients who either can't take medications or have failed medications. For patients who fail those more conservative treatments, there's also Botox for the bladder. So Botox can be injected into the bladder wall and help relax the muscle, and is very effective at helping with overactive bladder symptoms and urinary incontinence. Lastly, there's a pacemaker for the bladder that can be implanted to continuously stimulate the nerves to help with overactive bladder.